I am Edgar Stafetskis from Signing Services, and I would like to share with you how you could use e-signing capabilities to run your businesses fully digitally. Right, it's out there. I myself and the solution, we come from company Digital Mind, yep, and which has been helping plenty of companies to run their operations electronically, paperless, and also provide their services digitally. That's where we kind of identified the huge potential of e-signing, how it could be leveraged and used. This is also where we found the problems or restraints for users and companies to actually adopt it. So we came up with a solution so that companies can leverage the best out of the e-signing and use it for their businesses for better. In my presentation, I'll talk a little bit about trust and how it connects to this e-signing, talk about these typical challenges that are faced in using them, and also show some real-life examples and cases, how companies have managed to do it in a proper way, so to speak. In my invitation video to Riga.com, I refer to the current situation that if you want to get service in person, that will probably not be provided, or you need to sign up for a certain set schedule to get your in-person service, right? And I believe most of you, just like I did, enjoyed the regime of working from home. So it's no surprise that businesses and consumers are moving online and work is done from home. Since the beginning of COVID, Central and Eastern Europe, the number of users, consumers who had used at least one online service grew by 15%, reaching 76% of the consumers. In total numbers, it's around 12 million people. So 12 million, it's whole Baltics times 2. Meaning that the kind of physical market is remaining the same, but the market online is growing, which kind of makes sense, right? What's interesting, biggest increase of those new online service users were aged above 65. So it's not only youngsters or early adopters, it's different ages. And that around 80% admitted that even after the situation or the circumstances, they would like to continue using those online services. And I'm grateful that we have these tools and technology in place that we can work from home and provide business online. But apart from that, to do any transactions, to get the economy moving, there is one kind of ultimate currency that is needed for anything to happen. It's trust. It's trust in each other, trust in the product, trust in goodwill. In anything we do, we need to get trust, right? Before we trust our money or before we get the goods. And on this note, here is a rhetorical question: when do you have enough trust to commit to transaction online? As a user, when do you feel confident enough to press that pay or order or submit button, or from my perspective, what I look at, when the company feels confident enough to issue their goods. It's one thing if you go the road that, okay, you customer, give me the money and then I'll ship it to you. Okay, then you basically leverage the trust of the consumer. It's more or less straightforward. Or the other case is that you have enough evidence that you'll get your money, so then you issue the service or the good to your customer. Well, on the trust subject, I've been reading and studying quite a lot in different countries, different cultures. One interesting study, what I wanted to mention also here today, was about correlation between level of trust in society and how well the society is doing. In this case, these are numbers of GDP per capita. Of course, the price differences are taken into account. And without going into detail, there are also some different reasons for these results, but there is a definite correlation between how much there's trust and how the economy is doing. You can see Latvia somewhere here. Yes, this is data from 2004, and unfortunately they are not updating this data, but nevertheless, trust itself is not a warranty for wealth, but it's definitely one of important preconditions for the economy and the society to do well. But today is a kind of digital age, and where do we get trust today? Luckily, we live in Europe, where this topic is being addressed, and it's actually one of top priorities in this very moment. And we have the rules and standards in place that help us to prove our identity online, to do business online, and there are these electronic identities and trust service providers, or trust services, in form of identity, signature, seals, timestamps, and so on. Let's not get kind of complicated about it, but what I'll be focusing, it's about identities and signing. These services are provided by trust service providers. There are such providers in each country. What's the difference, or what's specific about them, is that they need to meet very high, I would say, demanding requirements, and they are constantly being audited and looked at to get this status of a trust service provider. If you meet even higher requirements, that you get the status of qualified trust service provider. Qualified trust service provider means that your solutions, or using your tools, they will be recognized across whole Europe. Right, that's kind of intro about where the trust is and where are the trust services. So one important aspect also today in the digital business and digital world is identity. So there are different ways how a user can provide his identity. First of them, which we probably use most often, is self-announced identities. So I say, I am Edgars, this is my email, or I use social account to provide my data. But let's be careful about it. These are not considered to be as the high trust identities. Normal today's user has around 27 passwords, so meaning having 27 different identities in different services. And regarding social networks, you see yourself some time ago also the phenomenon of fake accounts has bolted up. So this is not considered as a secure identity you can trust. There are other ways, way more secure, way more trustworthy, when we expose the document to technology, and then it does the job and gets our data. I myself, I'm not there yet. I don't have the level of trust apparently yet. I don't enjoy doing this, but of course I've done it as well. But as a company, this is definitely a way more trustworthy identity to use. But if we talk about trustworthy identities, most popular ones are from banks, right? So society and organizations, they rely on this identity because we all know banks have very, very strict KYC requirements. So if the bank trusts and says this is Edgars, then we trust it as well. But it can also be not only bank, it can be also a trust service provider who issues this identity. And if it's done by a trust service provider, then this identity is recognized across whole Europe. Not only with the certain bank, which is the kind of bank authentication case. This is bank saying this is Edgars. In qualified trust service provider's case, it's certified, audited, recognized, and so on company who says, yes, this is Edgars. The ones in circle are qualified tools available here in Latvia. In Baltics, there is also mobile ID in Estonia and Lithuania, and that pretty much covers. But the market is bigger, and I'll get to that in a moment. Okay, so these are the ways how users can prove their identity online. We know who the user is, but then we also should be ready to provide evidence of what the user did online. And e-signatures are used for that. E-signature market is now growing rather fast, over 30%, this aggregated growth per year, but it could grow even faster if not the complexity associated around it. There are different tools, there are different levels of signatures, which kind of slows it down, especially in Europe. But let me run through quickly the basic concepts. Three main levels of signatures. So one is the basic signature from person perspective or from use case perspective. We do it very often. We click accept, we agree to terms and conditions. This is considered basically as basic e-signature. The service provider cannot really relate me to that click. I don't really have control over that information. And one interesting thing that many don't know, when you say to your partner or to customer, yes, sign the contract and send me the scan, this from legal perspective falls into basic e-signature category. So this is basic signature, used very often, fits for many purposes, but there are also more signature types or levels. And the next one is advanced signature. This is, the case is the following. There is a signing service provider. Typically it's a cloud SaaS solution where you take the information you need to sign, and then this company can authenticates the users and puts his stamp saying, yes, this is the signed information, and I will guarantee that it's unchanged, and you can check this information with me. So this company is kind of taking the place of a notary. He's the one holding the kind of backup for you. Typically known players, DocuSign, HelloSign, these companies which basically dominate the e-signature market, they are a majority on this signature level. And thanks to eIDAS, we have one more level, which is called the qualified electronic signature. Yes, it's equals, the legal meaning is equal to handwritten signature. There is, you will not be returned in court, and you don't need to hassle with these levels of signature. This is considered to be the highest because the user used qualified identity, so the official identity and also the signature was issued by qualified, so meaning audited and checked according to eIDAS company. So in this case, the notary is not a commercial company, it's basically some of the trust service providers who are backed with the government and rules and so on. What you see here on the picture, yeah, this is, for those from Latvia, you probably recognize e-parakstītājs, Estonians use DigiDoc, and there are plenty of tools around the market. Where's the catch? There are different tools, how users can sign and issue qualified signature, but the outcome is basically the same, and it's recognized across whole Europe. Market of these qualified tools is growing. Yeah, of course, thanks to COVID in this perspective, there is rapid increase in the user base and usage. Unfortunately, not all companies are exposing this data, but everybody is telling how they are now, turning around their business, and people are asking, since they realized, okay, it's a lockdown, but I still need to get the service, so they get these official identities to get served online. Last year when I was presenting, there were around 180 something trust service providers in Europe, and as of today it's around 210. So also the supply on that side is growing, and we are having more, bigger choice what tool to use. And what I like about this turn of events is that there are also appearing such service providers which offer fully remote onboarding, meaning that I don't need to go to bank or to migration office or anywhere else to get a qualified tool and prove my identity and sign information online. This is great news for companies because we've spoken with many, and there's always this question, should I go and use these tools when I'm not sure if the users will actually have Smart ID or Mobile ID or whatever. Then the answer now is, okay, even if the user doesn't have either of them, there is option that he can onboard and acquire such a tool and use his qualified identity and signing online. And companies are adopting that. Studies show how big the number it is today. So they are using in any or other way, integrating, using some other services. And we've spoken to quite a few, at least 100 in Baltics and in the nearest region around Baltic Sea. And what the kind of main challenges or topics they are addressing, firstly, when they want to embed e-signing into their processes, when they want to use it, is it's user experience and security of the information, and let me elaborate on that. When we talk about user experience, for those who have used kind of traditional approach of e-parakstītājs or other tools, you probably know or are familiar with the whole process. User needs to get the information, prepare it, put it in a signing tool, sign it, save it, send it. So it's not kind of the user experience expected as from a normal, today, modern user. Then we've seen companies and talked to some why they do it. They manage to integrate one tool or to support one tool, but in this way, you are kind of ignoring the others. And I encourage you to think not only like Latvia or Baltics, but with this regular and these tools in place, you can actually onboard or do business across whole Europe with the qualified, fully assured methods. So think broader. And one last thing that we also, some customers are looking for is not to have an intermediary in the process. So if I want to sign contract with you, let's go to this service provider to do it. So it's not really the customer journey, what companies also expect today. That's briefly about the user experience. And I'm talking not only about like me and customer from the street, but any signer. So either it's employee of company, either it's customer, which is to be your customer. So signers are both sides, so to speak. When we talk about information security, two main directions I want to point out here is first the trust in the identity. So using e-signature solutions, can I really trust that this is the real identity? Can I really rely that it is Edgar's, as he claims to be? And once we can trust this identity, then we already can enforce authorization or kind of access control. I know this specific information is targeted and available only to this specific citizen or group of citizens. That's one thing, kind of from the trust in the data. And the other, what the companies expect or deal with is the full control over this information. So usually when you need to sign something and when you need the highest trust level on that piece of information, that's probably something confident or just between the signers. So having somebody in the chain is another point of risk. Companies do not allow and or do not want that to happen. They want all information to stay within their firewalls, within the whole process. There are other challenges and we can discuss about them, ask, you'll have time for questions, but these are two main I chose to point out today. Now let me demonstrate some use cases where companies have, I would say, successfully leveraged this possibility to use e-signing and identities in their business. One use case, most popular one I would say, is, so I call it digital services. The case goes like this, that you enhance your online channels with the possibility for your customers to prove their identity with their official, whatever tool they use, and sign information right in your online channel. Is it a self-service portal? Is it internet bank, mobile app? Whatever, embed and bring this capability to the user. User does what he needs. You have all the trustworthy information. You don't need basically anything else, and your process goes on. And this actually enables you to not only kind of put the sticker on the process where you had previously some paperwork, but I encourage you definitely to review the whole service, how it's built, because this brings you opportunities to get the data faster, more reliably, so you can reshape the whole customer journey and the way how your service is built. Next one comes already from kind of inside of company. I call it digital processes. Yes, where we look already kind of inwards to the company. So we have processes, governance processes, contracts, whatever. And people are working with information, and the information comes to stage when you need to collect signatures. So embed the e-signing right there where your employees use information and work with it, so that they can, with few clicks, choose the method and do the authentication, and that basically signing is done. Signature is there. Click, click, done, as we say. And also, right from here, you then invite other signers to sign information inside the organization or outside the organization. But again, you are not wasting time. You are offering user experience and covering the security in a very user-friendly way. So yeah, these are a few examples from real case scenarios. As you can see, I also added some visualization so you can take a look at it. An example here is to track exactly how the e-signing processes are going, again, within the company, within firewalls, and so on. So, time is going. I want you to have time for questions. What I wanted to end up with is that for sure the times will change, but the habit of accessing convenient services or working remotely this will stay and remain. I showed to you some ideas and shared with you how you could use e-identities and e-signatures to run your businesses more digitally. And what I would like to say or encourage you is to look at your services, look at your value chains, and think and definitely leverage these possibilities. The tools are out there. I'm Edgars Stafetskis from Signing Services by Digital Mind. So thank you for attention. I'm looking forward for some questions. So, by the way, while you are coming, those who, if you want slides, I saw some pictures being taken, just ping me on LinkedIn, I'll share the PDFs with you.
So are there any questions from the audience? Well, for now, oh yes. Yeah. So the question is there a solution for third world countries?
Mm-hmm. No, there are solutions around the world, but then to serve, and we get this question a lot, frankly speaking, can I sign contract with a company in Mexico and will it be accepted in Mexican State Revenue Service, VID? Unfortunately, there is no such global unified legislation and frameworks in place which would equal the handwritten signature. So in that case, to sign the contract, you can go to the advanced level and use those tools on that level. So there is some commercial company playing the notary role. In that case, you can sign, but again, it's up to your risk policies or the industry where you are. Is this sufficient to do the business or to conduct this specific transaction or not? In case of qualified, in Europe, no more questions. In case of advanced, then this company is the notary, as I said. If you run into some legal issues or so, then they are kind of coming and helping you in the courts and so on to prove the information. So you can sign, but not with the qualified level. On the EU level, they are working towards that. The US e-Sign Act and the Japan, they are working on towards this kind of universally standardized approach to these signatures. But they are working, means I don't know when the result will be. Cannot promise on that. Yeah.
So, any other questions? For now, I will ask one myself. I wanted to know, how does the technological implementation of your solution goes on for companies who wish to use it?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, as I said in the beginning, we ourselves as a company and the product, we come from B2B business. So we've been working, automating processes, and this is where we identified, okay, this is something actually more universally usable approach. So what we try to do and what we are offering, it's primarily it's API-based solution for companies, shipped to them so that it works from the infrastructure. So yeah, you do need some IT competence and resource to embed it, which we also help if it's needed. But what we do further on to simplify this onboarding or start using is we build up these connectors for standard connectors for widely used platforms, SharePoint or OpenText, or there's a few more, so that there is not that much IT resource involved in the process. So you take the connector, you kind of stick it in, and your users have the possibility to use the e-signing. And what's more, even going further, we noticed that there are companies, small or big, it doesn't matter actually, for whom integration in this very moment might not be the case. So we give them also tools which already have the full thing, interface and control, and they basically distribute it to their employees, and that's already something where you don't need IT at all. You take those tools, turn them on, kind of click install, and off you go.
Any other questions? Well, for now, I think you can expand a little bit more on those challenges that you were talking about, but you didn't have time to.
Yeah, a year ago I was also presenting here and talking about this topic. Back then I was trying to put in the perspective, look, we as a region, as a country, we are falling behind from other European countries in terms of how much businesses are using technology to digitize. that was kind of a perspective I tried to put it in. And then we always had questions about business case. Is there a business case for that? Is it worth doing it? And today I even skipped that one because that was one of the things I kept in my mind that people will ask, how much does it cost? That it's not, today to find a business case, it's rather straightforward, but it's not anymore only about the money. It's also about, keeping the business running and staying in the game while others are embedding and offering such approach. Then, if you are not, then you are falling behind and, competition. That was one about the use business case. And the other one, was about complexity to integrate or implement. So that's our job to make it as simple as possible, and this is what we do. Therefore, we also offer these different options. But now I'm already advertising, so I'm going to stop here.
Any more questions from the audience? If no, then let's give a round of applause to Edgars. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.